Hey, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. This is part 2 of the Crossway ESV Thinline in Heirloom edition. And in this edition, I want to do some comparisons with several other Bibles just to give you an idea of what this looks and feels like. This is the Scholar Quintel in ESV. Now, mine is calfskin. I'm a fan of the calfskin. This one has the same paper. They both have the 28 GSM. My little accident there. And let's see what we got. Both are double column. The main difference between the two is that the Quintel has references where the Heirloom Thinline does not. The Heirloom Thinline actually is a little bit of a class by itself because there are not a lot of hand-size text editions. They're mostly reference editions. But you can see the difference between the font. Not a lot of difference, really. Not much. Let's get over here somewhere so we can see pros versus pros. Not a whole lot of difference between them. So let's zoom on the Quintel and the Thinline. Give you an idea of how the text compares. They both do look good. They both look nice. The Heirloom has a concordance where the Quintel does not. That's the main difference between them, between references and concordance. They're both good hand-size editions. That's how they stack and how they compare thickness-wise. The weight is very close to the same. So, there's that one. This one's a little bit small. This is the Pit Minion. Thickness-wise, they are about the same. Pretty close to the same. I think the Thinline is a little bit bigger, but not by a long shot. Just a touch bigger. But the Thinline is it's a good size because you can get a little bit larger font. 8-point font in the Thinline where you have just under a 7-point font in the Pit Minion. And there's how they compare. Let me zoom. Give you an idea of how they look. This one's quite a bit lighter, but this one's light enough for me. Light enough. Another Cambridge is the Clarion. And as you can see, quite a bit of difference in the footprint, but the thickness, it makes up the difference. Clarion's quite a bit thicker. It's chunky. But it is better for that single column layout. The font size is larger in the Clarion. Let's go ahead and zoom. So I think the font size is noticeably larger in this Cambridge. But I don't find the Thinline difficult to read, but if I had to choose one, I do like to read this larger font. But I don't find the Thinline hard to read at all. And let's see. Let's look at a couple of Crossway editions. This is the Omega. And as you can tell, there's not a big difference between the footprint. An inch taller, at the most an inch wider, not quite. Thickness is similar. And then the advantage in the Omega being that it's larger font and reference edition. And it's a noticeably larger font, but not that much larger in footprint, but it can make a difference. So let's zoom. See the difference in the font size. So there's the Omega. Both are nice Bibles, and this is the 4 ribbons. I like the 4 ribbons. It might be a little bit too many ribbons in this smaller one. I don't know. I would have to try it and see. And the Legacy, Heirloom Legacy. Now, the Thinline makes the Legacy feel like a big Bible, and it's not really a big Bible. Not by any means. But it is noticeably thicker and heavier than the thin line, even though the footprint is the same as the Omega. But there you can see the difference in thickness, quite a bit thicker. But the reason for this is that's what you have to have in order to have a single column layout. Single column layouts just take more space. That's just the way it is. More white space. So quite a bit bigger font over here on the Legacy. Darkness is the same, paper is the same. All the heirlooms use the same 28 GSM. So 8 point versus I think 9.5, 9 in that range. You can see the review on this and see the details. I don't have all that memorized, but there's the difference. This is the only other text edition or non-reference edition that I can think of that is in goatskin. There's not a lot of choices if you want to look for an heirloom quality in goatskin. Now they're preaching Bible also, but it's a little bit different. This is made in the Netherlands, whereas the preaching Bible is made in China. And I do think these are better quality Bibles. The Bibles made in the Netherlands are amazing. So there's how several Bibles compare to the Thinline. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.